You know, among the interesting pictures that you were playing were the images a little while ago of Rishi Sunak. You know, a lot of attention around him, and his visit has been well crafted. It's a very short visit, but they're trying to trying to ensure that Rishi Sunak is seen as someone who identifies with India.
He's winning. He's breaking the internet. He's got the maximum attention. Justin Trudeau and all are usually more flamboyant, but they're not getting a fraction of the kind of coverage he is. And as Ashwini Chaubey said, the Minister of State who welcomed Rishi Sunak yesterday, "Aap to hamare hi hain." He said, "Jai Siya Ram." And so you get this feeling that he's one of us trying to fix the British economy, and it takes a man of Indian origin to run the biggest companies in America and to try and fix Great Britain.
Look, he's struggling at home.
Oh, sure.
You know, he's just, he's struggled with by-election defeats. There is no sign of the Conservatives recovering before elections. But Shiv, you know, the sense, Sudha Murthy, we spoke to her yesterday, saying that, you know, will you be around the couple and will you be speaking to them? And could we sneak in, and also get a chance to see this family gathering? And she said, look, we're staying in Bengaluru because Rishi and Akshata have a very busy schedule, and they're going to this is a very swift visit. When they come at a more leisurely visit to India, we'll spend time with them.
You know, I wonder whether Sudha Murthy and Narayan Murthy need to wait for them to visit. You know, they can just jet off and spend time with the British Prime Minister wherever they want. But good question. He may be having trouble in Britain, but it looks like they're really happy to get some time away. Okay, the cameras love them. Young couple, good-looking couple. They apparently snuck out for a tour of central Delhi. We don't know if they've managed to visit a restaurant. And this is just an appetizer, Rahul, because he's going to be visiting Akshardham as well, and Humayun's tomb perhaps, and maybe some other places. He says he's come armed with all the Raksha Bandhans to meet all his sisters. He's talked about his religiosity. So he's a guy I think we're going to see a lot of pictures of.
Very interesting, Gaurav. He wears very proudly on his sleeve his Hindu credentials, despite being a British politician, while he's very, very, very smartly off putting British interests first. For example, on the question of free trade agreement with India, he said, I'm in no hurry. So whenever it comes to any question of substance, he's very careful. But when it comes to form, you know, those are pictures of Akshata Murthy. They're helping Sunak with his tie, walking around central Delhi, going to the British Council. So all of that really have the Murthy couple on the go in the capital. And
in a strange way, he symbolizes sort of India's ability to reach out across, how much the world has changed with someone who wears his sort of sense of Hinduness and Indianness on his sleeve becoming the Prime Minister of Britain.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, that reflects, you've got a lot of Indians who've done remarkably in the corporate world, particularly in the United States. But when you have someone who wears his sense of Indianness and Hinduness on his sleeve as the Prime Minister of Britain, 75 years after independence, it shows how much the world has changed. I mean, Alex Ellis, who's the British High Commissioner to India, is another reflection of that. He makes every effort now to show how much he's embracing the idea of India. He will play out Hindi songs and then try and sing them.
Does he sing well?
Well, he tried Paldo, the old Kishore Kumar song. I won't sing it.
Thank God.
But, he tried it through karaoke. He's a great cricket fan of, great supporter of Indian cricket. But it just shows soft power, as well as the fact that because the Indian diaspora has now reached positions of influence and power in different parts of the world, it makes it that much easier for India to play this role that it wants to of a bridge builder.
Let's just listen to Rishi Sunak speak yesterday after arriving in the national capital.
I'm a proud Hindu, and that's how I was raised, that's how I am. Hopefully I can visit a mandir while I'm here for the next couple of days. And yes, we've just had Raksha Bandhan, so from my sister and my cousins I have all my Rakis, and I didn't have time to celebrate Janmashtami properly the other day, but hopefully, as I said, I can make up for that if we visit a mandir this time. But it's something that is important to me. I think faith is something that helps everybody who has faith in their lives, particularly when you have these stressful jobs like I do. Having faith to give you resilience, to give you strength is important, and it provides an outlook on life which I find particularly valuable. I have enormous respect for Modi ji, and he's been personally very warm and kind to me, and we're working very hard, as I said, on our shared ambition of concluding an ambitious and comprehensive trade deal between India and the UK, because both of us think that would be a good thing, and both of us need to make sure it works for our two countries. And at forums like this, I'm very keen to support Prime Minister Modi in making sure that this G20 is an enormous success for India, which I know it will be, and this has been a great year for India more generally. Both Modi ji and I are keen to see a comprehensive and ambitious trade deal concluded between our two countries. Both of us think that there is a good deal to be done, but trade deals always take time. They need to work for both countries, and although we've made enormous progress, there is still hard work to go, and that's what we need to keep going through. The G20 is not the forum for those discussions. Of course, I will touch on that with Prime Minister Modi, but the teams are working very hard. But as I said, there's hard work to go, but we will keep working through it. But I think there is an enormous opportunity for both India and the UK to strengthen our economic cooperation, which will bring real benefits to our citizens in both countries. Well, obviously, my wife is from here, from Bangalore. We got married in Bangalore. We used to spend lots of time together before we had children in Delhi, and we're trying to figure out if we can go to one of our old favourite restaurants this evening. But look, it's personally incredibly special for me to be back in India. It's a country I love dearly, a country where my family are from. But to come here in this role, to represent the UK, to find ways to forge closer links with India and play a part in making sure that India has an incredibly successful G20. And I'm very proud to see India doing so well on the world stage. I think there'll be many things that we'll be discussing here at the G20 under India's leadership, and I'm confident that we'll make very good progress on a range of different issues. I think G20 has been a huge success for India. India is the right country at the right time to be hosting this, and I feel we're going to have a very good couple of days of deliberations and decisions made. I think it's a great theme, and actually when you say one family, I'm an example of the incredible living bridge that Prime Minister Modi described between the UK and India. Almost 2 million people like me in the UK of Indian origin. So it's very special for me to be here as British Prime Minister, in the country where my family are from.
It's interesting that he's speaking about the time they spent in Bengaluru feeling very proud about the fact that they're now vicariously inside 10 Downing Street, Gaurav. And he also mentions the fact that he's very proud of his Hindu credentials. It's not something he's playing down or being subtle about, from feeling bad about not getting a chance to celebrate Janmashtami to talking about the Rakhis with his sisters and his cousins. It's something that he's very unabashed about.
Oh, absolutely, Rahul. He's a true Sanatan follower, and he's proud of it. He's proud of the fact that he's also visiting the Akshardham temple. He's talking about Raksha Bandhan. So no pseudo-secularism here, of the yesteryears where the state would only celebrate perhaps the iftar and no other, religious festival openly, and then call it secularism. This truly is his personal faith. He celebrates it. He's very proud of his faith. He talks about going to a temple. He has an idol of Lord Ganesh on his desk at the 10 Downing Street, and he says faith helps him negotiate all the difficulties and the challenges that he faces in the position that he is in. So he understands. He's spoken of the Sanatan. He's spoken of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He's spoken of Bhagwan Ganesh. He's spoken of Gauraksha, and none of them have prevented him from keeping British interests first, whether it comes to the trade deal with India, or it comes to taking a very strong stand on Ukraine, which many would consider that, if he's of Indian origin, perhaps he'd take a softer line. Not at all. He's a proud Hindu, and he follows British interests first.
For all of that, and I have no doubt with what my friend Mr. Sawant says on these issues, we have our differences, but the fact is the trade deal is going to be critical. And I just wonder at some stage that for all the multilateral negotiations going on, many of these bilateral side negotiations are equally, if not more important. The UK trade deal has been stuck now for the longest time. It's been, more than a year. There was a sense that it would be clinched last year. I recall.
But that was when Bojo was there.
I recall speaking to Mr. Johnson last year, and he was very confident it would be done by Diwali.
He's overconfident about
whatever.
everything.
So I think the nitty-gritty of these deals are going to become more and more important, because these are the real winning deals for both countries. You need a win-win for both sides. So the atmospherics, the optics of Rishi Sunak in India, wowing crowds, all that is all very well. The fact at the end of the day is these leaders need to walk the talk and bridge the differences on these critical issues.
There have been some good achievements also as far as trade is concerned, Rajdeep. Like, for example, last night after the bilateral, there was a statement about how India and the US have ended their last outstanding dispute at the WTO.
India and US have made far more progress actually on many of these issues, on technology transfers. India and the UK have been stuck, unfortunately.
No, but someone like a Rishi Sunak needs to be doubly careful because of his Indian origins.
Correct.
In any way, he's seen as conceding to India on any matters in the free trade agreement. That's political suicide back home, right? So he has to be that much more careful than somebody else. And also, your friend Bojo, he's way too flamboyant. He's always talking big. There's more bluster than there is substance.
No, he's the past. I mean, that's very clear. But, you know, you've had people within the UK administration, the likes of Braverman, who passed remarks that have made it difficult. You know, you need at this moment leaders across the board to recognize the importance of these trade deals and start working towards getting them fixed. I think, you know, Shiv, you make a great point. I think the United States and India have done far more in the last 4 months in bridging serious divides to the point where, you know, it appears that the two countries, frankly, have an extremely durable relationship now that cuts across all political divides. It won't matter who wins next year's US presidential elections. It doesn't matter who wins India's general election next year. India and the United States have forged a very stable, durable partnership at multiple levels. India and the UK have a huge opportunity on trade, which hopefully Mr. Sunak will see as one of his legacies for the future.